So every healer, every sage, every great spiritual teacher are all saying the same thing. That healing doesn't come from effort. Healing comes from truth and presence and oneness. And so today we're going to look at what that actually looks like and how you can actually use this in your own healing journey to heal. So good morning, it's Lisa with Lisa Heal Yourself. And today we're going to look at what presence and truth and allowing actually looks like. And we're going to go deep into how important it actually is. And I can tell you from personal experience that it is the most important thing. And that's why I'm cozy today. That's why I'm sitting on my couch. And we are really just going to have a chat, me and you, because this is one of the most important healing topics I can think about to talk about. And a lot of people, and I did for the longest time too, confuse presence or confuse allowing with apathy, right? Or confuse it with surrender, like giving up. Or maybe you confuse it with failure, not doing enough. But true allowing is so active. It is one of the most active things you can do, to be still and to get present with yourself, because all of our impulses tell us to distract ourselves, all of our impulses to tell us to fight it or to run away from it. They tell us to control it or to change it or shut it down or argue with it or make it wrong or make it go away or change it somehow, right? Our instincts are to control it. Our instincts are to fight it. These are the fight and flight instincts that are innate to humans everywhere. So you're not doing anything wrong when you have an instinct to fight it or run away from it or change it or control it in some way. This is your normal human instinct. This is the nervous system in action. But true allowing, true presence, true self-love is one of the most active things you can do in your healing journey. It is truly not just doing nothing. A lot of people ask me, when I'm consulting with them or when I'm working with them, they'll say, so you just want me to do nothing? It feels like I'm doing nothing. No, there are so many things to do, but none of them will work. None of the actions that you yearn to take, right? Like the physical bodies and the physical protocols, or the emotional work, or even the mental thought work, and all of these protocols and tools and things that you want to do because they feel very, very active, none of them can work unless you first allow what is actually here to be here. So if and until you face what is true, allow the truth of reality, that means allow the things that you don't like. We don't want to pretend that they're not there. We don't want to just distract from them or look the other way or try really hard to fix them or to do something, right, with a protocol. Yes, we do take action in healing, for sure. But action must be built on top of active presence, right? Active allowing, facing and feeling what is actually true, what is actually here. So this means witnessing our feelings, our symptoms, our emotions, our thoughts without rushing in to fix them. I'm not saying we don't take action to fix them, because we do. Healing is a whole process. But first we must feel what's here. First we must see what's here. First we must allow what's here. And this is a key that people overlook, right? Because it's not just 1 second seeing what's here. Yes, I see what's here. Yes, I feel what's here. So now tell me the solution. Now tell me how to fix it. How do I make this go away? It's really allowing yourself to feel and witness in deep presence what is here. Because in my experience, this is everything. When someone is extremely distraught or traumatized or sad or crying or angry, rushing in to solve the problem before just allowing and giving space to what's actually here can often make anything worse. Because first we meet what's here with love, right? We meet it with presence, and we meet it with this open, gentle heart. I see you. I hear you. I feel you. You're really witnessing at a deep level what needs to be witnessed, what needs to be seen, what needs to be felt, what needs to be heard, right? Symptoms, your feelings, your emotions, your thoughts, these are all deep communications, right? Not through words, but through feelings and through sensations in the body. This is a deep method of communication, and we must honor this. We must honor it by seeing it, hearing it, feeling it, and completely allowing it, right? Because we don't want to start solving a problem or fixing it or trying to change behavior or run from it or turn away from it or distract from it until we see what's there, until we can truly hold our arms wide open and say, I see you, I hear you, I feel you, and truly witness it and truly allow it. This means sitting with it, breathing with it, breathing through it. This is what we tell a child, right, who gets hurt or is having a tantrum or is having an overwhelming emotion or a feeling or even a physical injury. It's like we go to them. We go to them, we scoop them up, we hold them first. We let them cry before we ever try to solve the problem, knowing that we're here, knowing that we have them. We just let them express what needs to be expressed, what needs to be felt, right? Be in the moment that is true. And we hold them with love and with deep compassion. And this is so healing, this step when you're helping a child. You're bringing just deep presence to them. This presence is felt through their nervous system. This is what regulates a child's nervous system. It's not the solution that we ultimately give them or the talk that we give them or the behavior that we correct. It's the deep regulation that we give them in their nervous system by holding them and loving them and allowing no matter what is here to be here, no matter how big the emotion, how deep the cries, right? We hold them with love. I am here. This is how we communicate it. We don't say it. We go to that child, we scoop them up, we put them in our arms, and we hold them. And then we just allow them to be, to express, to feel, and we witness. As gentle witnessers and allowers and observers, we just hold them with our presence, right? With our regulated presence. And this is how we help to co-regulate. This is how we help to calm and regulate their nervous system, right? The child just wants to be held. It wants to be seen. It wants to be heard. And it wants to know we feel their pain. We see them. We're honoring them. This step is so important in healing. You're doing this with your own symptoms, with your own obsessive, out of control thoughts, right? You're doing this with your emotions, right? With sadness or grief or anger, sensations, symptoms, emotions, right? Feelings in the body. We're holding them like a child and allowing them to be there. We're honoring them. And we're saying, I love you and you're allowed to be here. Even if I don't like this, even if we want to change this, even if no matter what you're screaming or saying or how big the tantrum gets, I'm here and I love you. And this has been true in my experience with healing. This is the first most important step, and it's the last most important step. It matters more than any of the steps in between. And this is why all of the spiritual teachers, and this is why all the great philosophers and all the great sages are all saying the same thing. And so let's look at it. Let's look at some of these ancient teachers. Let's look at all the different diverse greats that we have that are saying the same thing so you can truly understand how important this is. Because I truly believe that presence, unconditional presence, is the healing point. It's the point within your power where healing takes place, right? Where all healing truly comes from. So let's start out with Buddha, one of the greatest teachers. And really the message here is that the root of suffering is resistance. And so Buddha really didn't teach anyone how to escape pain. Buddha taught us how to sit with pain. Buddha is the quintessential representation of sitting with presence and allowing, right? Without clinging, without aversion, without trying to run, fix, or do anything. Simply being present to what is. I can't think of a better teacher than Buddha. And Buddha described the Four Noble Truths, which are that suffering exists, that it is caused by attachment and resistance, that there is a path out of suffering, and that the path is presence and mindfulness. And so from the teachings of Buddha, this is how you can see how important meditation is. Sitting in stillness without resistance, without clinging to our symptoms, to our thoughts, to the suffering that we have in our physical body from this illness, right? Without trying to push it away or change it. This is how Buddha teaches us, the ultimate teacher, on how transformation and healing actually arises, right? It comes through the sitting with. It comes through the observation, the detachment, and truly the surrender. So now let's look at Jesus, one of our most prophetic teachers. And Jesus' message, truly, I believe, is that the kingdom of God is within you. Jesus didn't try to teach us about trying harder, right, to love or to forgive. Jesus brought unconditional presence everywhere he went. He sat with the sick. He sat with the people who were shamed or broken. He sat with the lepers. He offered his love to them through his presence, right? He would say things like, "Be not afraid. I am with you always. Peace I leave you, my peace I give you." He modeled unconditional love and unconditional presence. He didn't necessarily teach it, but he embodied it. He is the true embodiment. Like when I think of Jesus, I think of the truest embodiment of love. So deep, this love so deep that his presence alone caused the healings to happen. When a woman touched the hem of his robe, she was healed simply by being in his presence, right? Jesus's beingness, his presence, was safe enough, big enough, loving enough to hold her pain. Jesus went away to the mountains, to the sea, to be still. And all of his miracles came not from a big performance, but from his presence, through his presence. So the big message, the big healing message that I take from Jesus is that healing isn't something that you do. It is something that you allow through deep, unconditional love and presence, right? Healing happens in the stillness. Healing happens through prayer, through faith, through divine union. Many of the Christian teachings echo this type of presence through prayer. They say that like God is found in the stillness of your soul. They say become so empty that God can fill you. They say that the soul that is still is the throne of God. This suggests that healing is all about divine union, not about effort. And then you have Lao Tzu in the Taoist traditions. Lao Tzu has given us so many deep teachings, right? Deep quotes, deep things to think about, particularly teachings like nature doesn't hurry. Because the Tao is the way of nature. It's the flow of life. And it cannot be forced, it must be surrendered to. So when we're looking at Taoism, healing is not an intervention. It's not something you do. It's a returning to harmony, right? A returning to the flow of harmony within nature. It's allowing the body and the spirit to flow back into alignment. Because the highest virtue in Taoism is like effortless action. Not passivity, but effortless action. Like when I let go of what I am, I become what I might be. So when we're looking at healing through this lens, it's all about emptying, softening, trusting, aligning, right? Not controlling. And all of these things happen through deep presence. And then when we look at the teachings of Krishna in Hinduism, right? The famous quote, "Be still and know that I am God." Krishna teaches and talks about not fighting from fear, but to act from pure presence, right? From pure surrender. So you abandon all attachments to the result to attain this perfect peace. So the yogic path is simply not to fight reality. It's about uniting with reality, right? Sitting in presence with reality. And so many of us practice yoga. We practice the poses, we practice stretching. We say we have to do yoga, but yoga truly means union. You are dissolving the separate self when you're doing yoga. It's not about poses. It's about dissolving the separate self, right? Because the wisdom of yoga is about watching your thoughts, becoming the observer, seeing your pain, disidentifying with your pain, and ultimately realizing I am not the body, I am not the mind, right? I am the self. And so if we take these teachings, we can see that the deepest healings of this tradition are when you stop identifying with the suffering, stop identifying with the body, stop identifying with the pain, stop identifying with the symptoms, and become the witness, right? Become the one who is holding it. And then you might even look further back in history to some of the earliest Christians, to some of the mystics, maybe in the 3rd or 4th century. And they all fled into the Egyptian desert to sit in silence. Basically, they just wanted to sit there for hours in silence. Observe your thoughts, let pain arise, witness it when it does, right? Sit still, don't move, don't speak, don't react, just simply be with God. This is so similar to some of the yogic traditions and some of the teachings of Buddha, right? These are Christian traditions to sit in silence, to sit in prayer, to sit in communion with God, right? Because they saw silence as the ultimate form of transformation, right? It was almost like a fire. You were burning away the old self. You were sitting through the discomfort, sitting through what is, in order to feel the transformation, which often could feel fiery, it could feel painful, but coming out the other side of it is where the transformation happens, right? Sitting with the inner demons or the shadows. That's how you defeated them, not by fighting them, but by sitting with them. So if you sit with the fear and you sit with the inner demons, if you love God, if you love yourself more than the pain, more than the suffering. These early teachings, these early Christian teachings also teach us a lot about stillness and presence and healing. And then you may look at Stoicism, Marcus Aurelius and Seneca, and it was the Stoics who taught us that healing of the soul comes from radical acceptance, comes from internal stillness, comes from not reacting, comes from having deep control of your response, right? Letting life unfold how it must and having control of your reaction. This is presence. This is what Stoicism taught. Deep presence, deep allowing, right? Not about changing life to suit you, but at changing who you are to work with life. And then you might look at the teachings of mystical Judaism or Kabbalah. And the teachings of Kabbalah are really about wholeness and unity. So the light of the Creator flows through you when you're open, and the ego blocks it when you're in resistance, when you're in control or shame or lack. So the practice of Kabbalah is, again, to sit in silence, to open the vessel of the heart, and then to allow the presence to enter. They are saying the same things. You don't create or control healing. You receive it. You allow it. And then you might look at some Hermetic teachings, maybe ancient Greek or ancient Egyptian teachings. Quotes like, as above, so below. As within, so without. Again, this philosophy taught that healing is all about alignment. It's all about aligning with the natural order. So they would teach that suffering comes from things like fragmentation inner conflict, from trying to control that which must be surrendered. So in this teaching, you can see that healing is, healing's a return to wholeness through awareness. And stillness was seen as magic, really, where everything can unite, right? All of the opposing forces come together in unity. And then let's look at some other famous leaders and philosophers of our time. Let's look at some other, leaders and philosophers and see what they had to say about healing, because again, they're saying the same thing. So take Rumi, for example. Rumi is a Sufi mystic who is famous for saying, "The moment is all that there is." This is literally one of my most favorite quotes. And Rumi taught us, again, that the healing path is not about fixing. It's about being so deeply present that the ego melts away and all that's left is love. So Rumi had a lot of great poetry and a lot of great teachings. And again, they're all saying the same thing. He says, don't go back to sleep, stay present, stay awake. Whose greatest lesson is to teach us is that what you resist persists. And not only does it persist, but it grows in size. So Jungian psychology really teaches us the foundation of healing. And Carl Jung would say that healing comes not by removing the shadow, but by bringing the shadow into the light of awareness. So again, by making the unconscious conscious. This means that the unconscious isn't something to defeat. It's not something to fix. It's not something to do. It's something to befriend. It's something to witness. It's something to sit with and allow. Carl Jung has so many amazing teachings, but some of the most important ones are the path back to wholeness. And he teaches us to do that through integration, right? By not rejecting parts of ourselves, but by integrating all of the parts of ourselves. So again, presence equals consciousness equals healing. And then you have Ram Dass, a modern spiritual teacher who is famous for saying, "Be here now." Now, I use this all the time when I am teaching healing, right? He taught us that presence is the medicine, that our whole spiritual transformation and our whole physical transformation, our whole transformation brings us to a point where we realize that we are love. So again, Ram Dass sat with the dying, he sat with the grieving, and he helped them heal, right? Not through advice, but through his presence, right? Through his loving, unconditional presence. And then you look at modern teachings from psychologists or people who are really working in the field of healing today. So somebody like Gabor Mate, who really specializes and focuses in trauma healing. And he really helped to teach us that trauma isn't something that happened to you, right? Happened outside of you, but trauma is something that happened inside of you when you couldn't be with, or nobody could be with, what happened to you. So he helped us understand that trauma isn't about fixing a memory in the past, but it's about becoming the person who can sit with those emotions and those feelings and sensations now, right here in the present. And then we have other modern spiritual teachers on healing, like Thich Nhat Hanh, right? He's a Zen master who taught us that the best thing you can offer someone is your presence. And so these teachings help us to realize that healing isn't about pushing through symptoms. It's not about fixing the symptoms. It's not about forcing our body to do something different. It's not even demanding that our pain goes away, right? It's sitting beside it. It's loving yourself through it. It's breathing into it. And it's really staying with yourself, whispering to yourself, saying to yourself, "I love you. I'm here. I'm listening. I'm holding you. I am not going to leave you," right? "I will never abandon you." And we know through a lot of the work in somatic healing and the polyvagal theory, and in some of the new lessons from neuroscience that are emerging now, right? In the very recent years. These teachings are all suggesting and showing us that the nervous system in the body doesn't heal when it's in survival, when it's feeling a threat. and that safety has to be felt internally. And so if all of our recent science is pointing to safety as a mechanism of healing, we know that safety is built through stillness and presence and gentleness and love and kindness and compassion, and in co-regulation with others, and eye contact and hugs and holding. All of these things that we talked about at the beginning of the video, where we swoop in and hold the child, right? All we're doing is communicating safety, communicating presence. We are attuning to the needs. We are attuning to reality. We are supporting, we are loving, we are holding, right? Presence is the medicine. It is the healer, because presence is the safety, right? Presence is the religion. Presence is the God. Presence is the highest teaching. And this is the unifying truth, right? All paths lead here, right? No matter if you read the mystics, or if you study the saints, or if you are reading from psychologists or philosophers, if you're doing nervous system work, or no matter what you're doing, if you sit, if you pray, if you meditate, if you breathe, if you allow, you will eventually arrive at transformation, right? Because praying or meditating or sitting with or being present, right, opening, all of these things, they're not about becoming a better version. They're not about doing, they're not about changing, they're not about fixing. This is not about becoming a better, smarter, or more capable you. It's about becoming the space that can hold all of it, right? With love, with compassion. Jesus called it peace. Buddha called it non-resistance. Krishna called it union with the self. Lao Tzu called it flow. Some of the ancient mystics called it silence. Rumi called it opening the heart. Carl Jung called it integration. Ram Dass called it being here now. The Stoics called it acceptance of what is. The Kabbalists call it becoming an open vessel to the light. The Zen masters called it just sitting. And modern science calls it nervous system regulation. But all of them are pointing to one truth, and that is that healing doesn't come from trying to control or fix your symptoms. It comes from your deep, loving, open, witnessing presence. And not just sitting with it to sit with it, but really what I learned from healing was that we're not sitting with it just to sit with it. We're not praying just to pray. We're not allowing just to allow. We're allowing ourselves to be changed by it, right? To be changed by being with it. Being with something hard changes us. And when we open to allowing ourselves to be changed by being with it, that is when the healing comes, right? We're changed because we stop running from it. We're changed because we stop reacting to it. We're changed because we bring unconditional love and compassion and kindness to ourselves, right? Because we're changing to meet our own needs, to see truth, right? The stillness, the silence, the prayer, the meditation, right? The love so unconditional. All of these things are what transform suffering into the light. So I know that this has been a long video and that there is probably not many people who have made it this far. But if you are the one that is still here, then I want you to know that when you stop fighting what is, when you begin to witness it with compassion, and when you open and allow yourself to become the space, right, for change, for that love, for that transformation, that is when the healing flows. That's the moment that the divine takes over. That's the moment that miracles happen. That's the moment that you open. That's the moment that the mind, body, heart, and soul come into union, become one. That's the moment they return to wholeness. And that's what healing is. Healing is a deep returning to wholeness. And so if you receive value from this video today, please go ahead and give it a like and leave me a comment below. Let me know what's on your heart. The reason I spend so much time on it today is because it is one of the most important healing lessons that I can give, not only from personal experience, but as you can see, all paths lead to this one truth. And so if you enjoyed this video but just don't know how to get started, go watch this video here. It is a guided somatic healing meditation, but it's not just a guided somatic healing meditation. It's the first step to sitting with what is, to getting present, to actually putting what we talked about today into practice. So go please watch that video, sit down, open, allow, witness, because this is where your healing is going to come from. The actual doing, the actual transforming, the actual allowing. And leave me a comment and let me know how it goes. I want to thank you for watching. I'm sending you all my love, and I will see you in the next video.